Hello, I am back to recap episode 8 of Australian Survivor Titans vs Rebels. So we start this episode at the Titans camp. Original Rebels want to pick off the original Titans at the new Titans camp, which is a pretty generic move. I mean, yeah, obviously they've known each other younger, their relationships are stronger, and obviously they know that the original Titans are more incentivized to stay Titan strong going into a swap or a merge. So totally get that perspective. Ferris tells us he has to consider all options though, just because he's worried Kirby will probably lead a charge against him, and that he thinks that hypothetically Kirby, Kelly, and Scott could join up with the original Titans, aka Valeria, Charles, the winner, and he could possibly go home in the blindside. Or at least that's what he tells us in a confessional. Another thing is going in, well, obviously there's been hype in the promos of that Kirby first Ferris. And we'll get into that, but that's not really relevant right now. We go back to the new Rebels camp, and Kitty, Carrion, and Eden tell Mark why they voted out Viola because he was blindside by the vote. Mark wants revenge and pretends he wants to rejoin the original Titans, aka the Middlemaker Mafia and Jaden. But he actually wants to work with the Rebels, the original Rebels. Eden, Kitty, and Carrion seem to want to be original Titans strong. Jaden, I'm assuming, seems to be just with the Titans. Is not really relevant to the episode or storyline from what it seems. And look, I get it. I get wanting to bring Mark back into the fold. But at the same time, if I'm Mark, I'd be like, I can't work with these people anymore. Here's the thing. For Mark right now, he might think he doesn't have a choice, and it incentivizes him to stay with Kitty, Eden, and Carrion and Jaden. But yeah, OG Titan strong. But as soon as I get off that tribe, if I'm Mark, I'd be like, fuck these people. Fuck these people. So yeah, I don't know why they felt that they could trust Mark. And we go later, we'll spoil too much. We go later into the episode where they maybe know, maybe don't know that Mark could be, or is later on the season that Mark is probably not with them, but we'll have to find out. We head into the immunity challenge, and well, I mean, first off, we get big reactions that everyone was like, wow, I can't believe that you're like. Well, actually, we start with Mark confirms that Bill was his closest ally, or he thinks Bill was his closest ally, which means Valeria is now his closest ally. So keep in mind that going forward, Mark's closest ally is Valeria, and obviously Valeria's closest ally is Mark, from what Eddie is showing us. Mark notes to Alex that he's down to work with him and the other rebels, aka Rihanna and Sarah, and get revenge on his old allies, the Irons, for Viola. Mark also says he thinks Kitty is the glue between Carrion, Eden, and her alliance, and if she goes, it's better for them, because she thinks that Eden, Carrion, maybe part of it's because he has better relationships with them, or maybe part of it's just because Mark thinks that Kitty's more dangerous when it comes to she's in the background. I'm not really sure. There's a few reasons. I mean, obviously Kitty seems to be connected to Mark and Eden. I mean, to Eden and Carrion. So if she's closer to the both of them, obviously if you get rid of her, Eden and Carrion are more likely to not work together or stick together going forward. So we get some big reactions from the other tribe based on Viola going home last tribal council, which, yeah, I would also be like, what the fuck? If I'm a rebel, I'd be like, let's go! They're idiots! They did that! Hell yeah! But if I'm a Titan, I'd be like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Why would you do that? Why would you vote out? I get it. We're going to have a civil war eventually. But, what the fuck? Especially because Titans are already down in numbers. They were already down in numbers by at least one person. And now they're down in numbers by two people, which going into this episode, which is not great for Titans. I don't know why Titans felt the need. I mean, I get why, because there was mistrust and all that crap. But anyways, if we're talking about from a strategic point of view, obviously, if you're a Titan, you're Valeria, Winner, or Chalice, so we're like, what the hell, man? Why did you do that? Anyways, we go into the immunity challenge, and each tribe races to clear a path through a series of obstacles around them. to winch a heavy cart with puzzle pieces over a bridge and through a tunnel. Once they have their cart at the end, they use the pieces inside to solve a giant puzzle. First tribe that gets it wins immunity, obviously, use head tribal, and someone becomes the same person voting out, blah, 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 blah. We all know how it works. Get to the point. The new Titan tribe wins immunity, so as the rivalry that we've seen in the promos between Kirby and Ferris is prolonged into the future, we see Mark want the original Titans to split their votes, being 3 on someone and 2 on another person, preferably 3 on Rihanna and 2 on Sarah, just because based on last Travel Council, we saw that the Titans wanted Rihanna to go, so it's more believable, you know what I mean? Because she's like kind of giving them what they want. He also says, you guys can tell them it's my name, which if someone comes up to you and says, yeah, you can tell them it's my name, that's a red flag. They are either way too comfortable or they're doing something behind your back. Because people should not be okay with their name being the one as the decoy pin. Like, that is not, like, that doesn't make sense. You need to have a reaction like Micaiah did in Survivor Game Changers at the first Travel Council between her and Sierra, where she's like, you ain't from manga, man. And people actually, like, Micaiah needs to calm down. It's like, no, like, okay, she should have been more level-headed, but at the same time, if I'm like, no, I get that. You need to have Micaiah levels of, like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So, yeah, we go into, I mean, for starters, we see that the vote is, okay, so ideally Mark's plan is he wants to have 4 of him, the 4 of him, and the 3 other rebels, aka Rihanna, Alex, and Sarah, to all vote the same way. He wants the Titans, aka the rest of the people there. So Jaden, Winner, no, not Winner, sorry, Winner's another tribe. Jaden, Eden, Kitty, and Carry-On to split their votes, because then, hypothetically, the original Titans, aka everyone minus Mark, their plan is to split the votes 3-3 on Sarah and Rihanna in case Bernardo. You might say, but who's the 6th vote who would help them split votes? Alex. They want to have Alex because they, I don't know, 1, probably because of challenges, 2, because they have a better relationship with Alex, 3, because maybe they think he's dangerous. I'm not really sure. There's a few reasons why they might want to keep Alex over Rihanna or Sarah or trust Alex more so as that split vote. I mean, we did see last episode Alex was like, Sarah and Rihanna looking for idols. Don't look at me. Which, like, as I said before, like, on one hand it's good, but the other hand it's really bad because it might be a Casey from Champions vs Contenders 2. Like Australians Survivor Champions vs Contenders 2. But yeah, Alex is playing the middle way too obviously, and he's way too willing to turn on his allies, and that's going to sketch out people. But at the same time, obviously, it could benefit them. So we go, well, yeah, so that's what's the plan. Mark, Rihanna, Sarah, Alex, the 4 of them vote for Carry-On, well, for Kitty originally, it was for Kitty. Which, like, yeah, it's a solid plan. I mean, I get it. And then also Mark can keep his idol, which is great. And you get revenge, and you build new alliances and trust. And you're basically taking the stance being like, Vendetta for Viola, like, congratulations. This for you, Viola. Like, I totally get it, because, like, if I was in Mark's situation, I'd be like, yeah, can't trust Aiden, can't trust Kitty, can't trust Carry-On. It definitely puts you in an interesting position where you're kind of forced to, like, start from scratch, you know what I mean? Like, he has no one on that tribe who he can work with and trust at the current moment because they all just lied to his face. Or he has no connection to them because the rebels, aka Alex, Rihanna, and Sarah, have all known each other way younger and would probably throw him to the wolves faster than they would each other. At least that's the incentive. That's what you would think. So, other chaos ends up happening. And you might think, okay, so what do you mean other chaos ends up happening? Wouldn't the vote just work out 4-2-2? No. That is not what ends up happening. Other chaos happens at camp when Sarah and Rihanna spill the beans to Kitty and Carry-On about Mark Fairfield and trying to blindside Kitty. Which, like, why did they do that? Like, they're like Mark sketchy. It's like okay, but if you look at the numbers, like it benefits you guys. Like if you get rid of Mark in their like scenario, you guys are literally the next to go. So yeah, obviously strategically it doesn't really make sense. But Sarah and Rihanna, from what I've seen, aren't super fans, so they probably just don't understand the game in the way that I would see the game. Where I'd be like, no, let's do Mark's pick. That gets me off the bottom. That makes me the majority. Let's not have a rebel Pagong anyways. So obviously, Mark, they spill the beans, and Kitty and Caroline and Eden are all like, wow, Mark, why did you do that? Blah, 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 blah. And then Mark goes back to the girls, aka Sarah and Rihanna, and is like, and Alex, and is like, yo, like, I understand you guys just threw me under the bus, but like, you literally work with me because this is actually in our best interest. Like, I don't care you just threw me under the bus, but like, you need to understand that it benefits all of us if this move works out. So I don't care if you keep throwing me under the bus, that's fine. Like, if you're genuinely trying to rat me out, that's stupid because it doesn't benefit you guys. Which I 100% agree, it doesn't benefit them to rat this plan out because potentially the four of them can have a majority going forward and a fighting chance, at least from the alliance perspective, or is what we're showing, where there's this group of Eden, Kitty, and Caroline who are a solid three from the edit, with Jaden kind of leaning towards Titan just because he's none of them younger. And also, Jaden's a very passive player, so Jaden is probably just going to do whatever the last person tells him to do, which I hate to say about Jaden, but it's genuinely just how I feel about Jaden. It's a game. Like, Jaden is the type of person where you'll just tell him what to do, and he'll be like, yeah, sure. Like, we've seen that time and time again. So, anyways, yeah, they confront them. Mark wants to split the votes. And then we head into Tribal. All the girls say they're on board, aka Sarah and Rihanna and Alex, aka the OG Rebels, say they're on board to vote out Caroline with Mark. Obviously, Mark wants to change the vote to Caroline instead of Kitty because Mark's plan to Beyonce Kitty was exposed, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, in case they have an idol, let's just make, or like some advantage, whatever, let's just make sure that we change the vote off a different target. And obviously, Mark has been tight with Eden since the start. So even though Mark and Eden's games seem to be on opposite sides, which is interesting, right? Because they started off on the same page, kind of like best allies, and now their games are starting to clash against each other. And I think it's a really interesting dynamic, and it's a dynamic where I personally love the dynamic of watching people. It's the same with like TV shows, right? Where people are like, oh my god, they're best friends, now they're enemies. Like, that is an interesting storyline, and to watch it play out on the screen is also really fun, because Mark and Eden are protecting each other, but they're also like, that guy is dangerous. So it's really interesting, because obviously we've seen Eden be like, well, I gotta strike first, and Mark's like, I have other priorities, and Eden's kind of with the middle-aged mafia. So it's really interesting and fun to see. Another thing is we go into Tribal Council, and you might think, oh, okay, so it's a 4-2-2, Caroline goes home. No. Of course, Eden, one of my favorites because he's a super fan and just loves the game. Right before the vote at Tribal Council, whispers to Kitty and Caroline and Jaden. Essentially, the four of them changed their votes and the plan, and they want to vote for Sarah. So the four of them vote for Sarah. Alex, Mark, and Sarah vote for Caroline. And then we get to Rihanna's vote. And Rihanna's vote is like, yeah, so we get to Rihanna. Sorry, I'm laughing because it's just a really funny concept. So we get to Rihanna's vote, and I mean, look, it's fine. I get it, but Rihanna decides she's gonna vote for Mark because she sees the whispering. And she's like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna vote for Mark," thinking that the OG Titans are trying to vote out Mark, which they weren't. or at least not that tribal council. I mean, maybe they will going forward, but they weren't that tribal council. So, bad read from Rihanna there, or wrong read at least. So, Rihanna decides to vote for Mark because he sees that he's talking to everyone. She's scared of him, thinks he's a threat, blah blah, whatever reason, right? Doesn't matter. All you need to know is Sarah is voted out, and yeah, I mean, not great from Sarah here. She kind of, I mean, you could say it was her own fault because she didn't have strong enough ties to Rihanna, where she couldn't keep Rihanna on side. But at the same time, Rihanna was basically didn't really know who to vote for. Like, she went into the voting confessional, and she was like, I don't really know who to vote for. So that was kind of interesting. I think the whole whispering thing is also interesting because, yeah, otherwise the plan probably would have worked. I mean, maybe it wouldn't have depended on Rihanna because obviously, I don't know, Rihanna seemed like she didn't know what she was doing before that, but she seemed on board when they were going into tribal council to vote out Carry On, but I guess we won't really know. So we go, oh my god, sorry, I was on for my phone here. So we go to, I mean, look, now Rihanna, Alex, Mark are on the bottom, so that's, I mean, from a game standpoint, that's not great for any of them. Mark wastes his idol thinking targets him. Also not great. We see that older original Titans, well, we see in the promos older original Titans talk about, like, oh, okay, this is like, we're still going to be together, blah, blah, whatever, right? What are my thoughts in the future? I mean, look, my thoughts are like, I guess my main thing, I guess the reason why I'm struggling to talk right now is because I'm thinking about like what I think is going to happen. Because we've been seeing in the promos, obviously, we're seeing that Mark doesn't have an idol out. Mark is not your middle make mafia. Mark is kind of isolated right now. He's on the bottom. He played his idol, which shows he doesn't trust Kitty, Carry On, or Eden. He also didn't vote the way they wanted him to vote. So they also know, okay, Mark is definitely doesn't trust us. So not great from Mark here. We also see that I know people were saying, is this a good move for him to turn on the middle-aged mafia? No. Short term, I think he should have stuck with the middle-aged mafia and should have tried to be more. He should have done a better job of keeping his main alliance, not secret, because obviously in a public setting where you can see everyone talking, but he should have given them more reassurance about, like, hey, Viola is like, and Valeria are like extra numbers we have. Don't worry, I'm still with the middle-aged mafia. But he wasn't really doing a good job at doing that, and I understand it's hard because obviously they get a front row seat. Like, here's the thing, you can try to hide your relationships and your alliances in Survivor, but it's very easy to tell based on the votes, and it's also easy to tell just because you see people interacting, you see people talk, you see people yell. So from that perspective, I'm not going to like shit on him too much. And I say shit, but what I really mean is just talk about it. I think, all right, look, we see Alex. Alex has been talking about how he's like, oh, I finally have options on this game. And it was really funny because Alex I made a Twitter post last night. And I was like, Alex, you don't have options. This is your only option. Because going forward, if you don't do this, you're literally just on the bottom. And Alex responded, he was like, it's an option. It's more than I had before, essentially. And I was like, oh my god, true? It's also really interesting, Alex's story, because Alex, for the last, 5 episodes, I thought Alex had the winners at it. But I'm between him or Valeria winning. Those are the two people who I think have the best shot at winning right now, just based on the editing. If we're taking where they are in the game out of it, obviously Alex has been in the bottom the entire time, so that's different. And Valeria is also currently on the bottom. on the other tribe, which you might say, wow, Xander, you're so smart at really like dissecting this because I know, trust me. I think, yeah, going into a potential where, the new Rebels tribe goes to tribal council again if they don't swap and there's like non-eliminations and like all that crap. I think, yeah, obviously, Rihanna is in trouble. Alex is in trouble. Mark is in trouble. I find it interesting where Caden's positioning is at right now because he's kind of like floating, not really doing much, but yet he's that one vote where everyone's gonna be, oh my god, we should get Caden on our side. You know what I mean? Which like I don't even think Caden is actively doing this to put himself in the middle. But we also saw Caden lie to Mark, the last tribal council, where he was like, yeah, I didn't see it coming. It's like, dude, you know Mark can count, right? like that doesn't make sense to me. But all right, bro. At least, good job attempting at least. At least I'll respect that. At least you weren't like, nah, dude, we just didn't want to tell you. Like, okay. Even though that could have been better in hindsight, but I'm not really sure. I mean, Mark's not looking at Caden right now. Another thing I want to point out is that, okay, so the whole new Titans tribe, Rebel vs. Kirby. For tonight's episode, in the premise, Rebel vs. Kirby. Rebels vs. Oh my god, I just said Rebels vs. Kirby. What the fuck? I meant to say Ferris vs. Kirby. Oh my god, that's so funny. No, I meant to say, yes, Ferris vs. Kirby. So Ferris vs. Kirby. You might say, Xander, who do you think's going to win that war? I think Ferris will win the war for a few reasons. One, Ferris has the item. Two, Ferris has more allies, stronger allies. And when I mean stronger, I mean more loyalty with his ally. I don't mean like physically stronger. That doesn't mean shit to me when I'm like assessing people's games. Unless it's like, oh, you throw out the weakest, which in that case, you'll look at someone like Alex or like Nathan before he was eliminated, and you'll be like, oh, okay. So that guy is obviously a challenge beast or very physical. They're probably going to win it. If they are basing the tribes are basing the vote on that keeping the tribe strong, they're not going to want to vote them out. But yeah, no, I mean, I just thought it was, yeah, I think those are some of the main reasons why Ferris is in a better spot to win the war. I also think the editing favors Ferris, not because they like Ferris more than Kirby, just because if we're just looking at the edit, we hear from Ferris's perspective way more often. We know what Ferris is thinking more often, which leads me to believe that Ferris is going to be a big character this season and probably make it decently far. I think Kirby's number one alliance, aka, well, number one Rihanna is on the bottom of the other tribe, which isn't great. Like, let's say Kirby and Ferris both make merge, right? Regardless on if their tribe has one or just the next few immunities. Regardless, if we're just looking at the two sides, who is going to side with Kirby over Ferris? All right, let's just break it down. On Ferris's side, we have Ferris, Garrett, Raymond, Eileen. Yeah, that's 4 people. Based on the edit, we see Valeria, Winner, and Charles seem to say, I'm leaning towards the big boy, like the boys. Which, yeah, Kirby. Oh no. And then, yeah, which I don't blame them because obviously if you've heard people flip before, like Kirby and Kelly, you'd be like, yeah, that side is not reliable. But it also doesn't help them in the sense that you're like, I mean, currently the Titans on that tribe have no, on the new Rebels tribe, on the new Titans tribe have no, they have no power essentially. They're essentially just sitting ducks at this point, or at least that's what they wanted to show us. But then we're seeing the primers where it's like, versus Kirby. This war will be settled tonight, or whatever the promo said doesn't really matter. The promos said a lot of different things, so I'm not putting too much into the promos. Obviously, we see Scott is tight to Kirby and Ferris, or at least just wants the original Rebels to stick together. So yeah, I think logically it doesn't make sense for any of the Rebels to flip right now. But I mean, we saw the time skip, so it's very possible, based on the promos, that one of the rebels could be going home tonight on the new Titans tribe. However, I don't regard this, as I said before, if Kirby and Ferris both hypothetically make it to the merge, I just don't see Kirby having the numbers. Like, I don't see people wanting to work with Kelly, Rihanna, and Kirby over Eileen, Garrick, and like these other people. You know what I mean? And Raymond. Like, I just don't see it. And I've also got to think of it from like an editing standpoint of like which side is getting more content, who are we knowing more about. And debatably, we're getting more content from people like Scott and Rihanna seem to be in Kirby's corner, but at the same time, I feel like we know all of Barris's allies decently well, like Garrick, Eileen, Raymond. And it's really good where like their side is, I mean, you could disagree with me with that their side is like more stable, but I think they are just because they've got more numbers and less of an incentive to fit, because they have all been like, oh, Kirby went rogue, or Rihanna went rogue, or Kelly went rogue. I also think that, I mean, who do I think's going home tonight? If I had to guess who was going home tonight, I would say it would be Mark. And I know, I get it, I want to root for Mark, but if we're just looking at the game, I don't see why people would want to keep Mark around at this point. Like, if you're an OG Titan, you're just kind of done with him. And if you're an OG Rebel, it's either going to be Mark, Rihanna or it's going to be Mark or Rihanna on the Titans, on the new Rebels tribe, if they use. But on the new Titans tribe, it's going, they said it's going to be probably Ferris or Kirby, but I really think that the editors could just be trying to hype up the future, where like, maybe I'm wrong, and if they do, the Rebels do implode tonight, then bad gameplay. Why did they self-implode? Like, that's so stupid. Like, you guys literally, not only do you guys have the numbers, but like, it doesn't really benefit any of y'all to win. You guys have 7-3. You guys can literally split the votes on them and still guarantee that one of them goes home. And on top of that, you can also start rebuilding trust that you guys had originally fractured. And on top of that, you guys already have, well, using Sarah, they only have one extra person going, compared to the original times, like OG Rebels. But at the same time, it's like you have one extra, like, the numbers are so close. If I was them before I have a civil war, I would want to establish that, like, okay, like, if you guys, because you guys have more incentive to stick with your original tribe. You guys have more incentive to stick with your original tribe. That's just the reality situation, because you've known them younger, have better relationships with them, blah, blah, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, and as I've said before, I think Survivor is a game that incentivizes you to stick with your original tribe. So, hopefully, we get more content when it comes to that. Hopefully, Charles gets more confessionals, because if they get rid of Charles without giving him more confessionals, I'll be there for him. I'll be so upset. I mean, look, I'll get it, but at the same time, I'll be like, come on, bro. Charles is a super fan, gotta respect the homie. But anyways, that's all my main thoughts for Australian Survivor Rebels vs Titans. I think, obviously, winner has an idol, so if the Rebels don't self-implode, which they probably will based on the promos, but if they don't self-implode, winner has an idol that could potentially go into play, but at the same time, I could totally see winner wasting the idol, or just not bothering to play it. So we'll have to see what happens. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and till tomorrow, where I recap episode 9. Peace out.